Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new edition of the Triple Trio, our weekly look at all things Hong Kong racing with the best in the business, the great form analyst that is Clint Hutchison, Hutchie's Honkers, and also the Hall of Fame jockey in Shane Dye. Hutch, great to see you.
And you too, Richo. Yeah, it's been a good week. We had dirt racing, of course, at the Valley during the week, at Sharton, I should say, during the week. But yeah, it was, I think we saw some nice horses go around and an interesting card to look forward to as well on the weekend.
And then we race on a Saturday this week, RS Dye. That's always a challenge for us. Welcome.
Oh, nightmare. I started doing the form yesterday. First of all, hello, mate. How are you?
Great
nice
to see you.
You got a jacket on this week. You're looking dapper again. Last week you dropped the ball with no jacket, but I see you lifted your game. Oh, mate, I'll tell you, yesterday I started work at 11 o'clock, went to bed at 2 in the morning, and I was up at 6. When the races are a Saturday, it's just non-stop trying to get your work done, and Clint would understand that, but you wouldn't, Richo, because you're a man of pleasure.
Correct, my friend. I've just played 18 holes of golf and life is outstanding. Mate, you are fresh and you are ready to go, and we're going to launch into a huge show. But first, quickly go back, Hutch, the week that was. Well done.
Yes, we had some nice results. We didn't invest a lot, of course, on the Wednesday card, but had a little wager and a little suggested play with Gallant Hero. He was really good, actually, following that victory at the Valley, and Zach Purton on board him. Interesting track there on Wednesday, Shane. The inside seemed not a bad spot to be. I know we had winners from around the grounds, but it was a dirt track that you probably being close to the rail wasn't a bad spot. And, of course, Golden Express last week continues his merry way. But how did you fare during the week, Shane? Was it a profitable week?
Last Sunday I lost, and last Wednesday night I had a huge Wednesday night on the dirt. It was very good. One of my best ones for a while, so that was good. He's a very good horse, Golden Express. Now, what about Zach next season? What's he going to do? He's going to have Golden Express, Beauty Eternal, California Spangle. You know, he's got so many of these milers that are going to be in all these Group 1 races to ride. It's not going to be easy for him.
And he's going to have his frequent flyer account up and about because he'd brokered a deal with the Hong Kong Jockey Club to allow him a little bit more flexibility to travel the world a bit more. And you know what? A great result for all, I think.
It is a good result for all, but he might not want to go anywhere, Shane. He's got all these good horses in Hong Kong.
Great call.
He might want to just stay there and ride them.
Mate, I saw last week the Live Golf in Australia, right?
Yeah.
The bloke got 4 million, and he's complaining because he had to give 1.89 million to the government, and he said, what's the point going there? Zach's got to work out that if he goes and rides in Australia, he's got to give the government half the money, so he might as well stay in Hong Kong. What's the point?
That's a fair point that you raise, and Shane's been strong about that in regards to the way that the jockeys are taxed in Hong Kong versus Australia.
There is one race, though, that he wants to win, and it's not the money.
Correct.
You know what it is, that first Tuesday in November.
No,
You've won it, Shane.
We're going to find a ride for him. Don't worry. I'm going to go over to the UK, Shane, and be his scout and try to find a ride for him.
Well, managers charge around 15%, Richo, so don't forget to put that on when you charge them, 15%. But you being such a superstar, you could probably get away with 20%.
I reckon 25, Shane. I reckon you're right on the ball there.
We are starting to dribble. Let's burst out of the gates. We've got a huge show coming up with our very special star guest, is the one and only Brenton Avdulla, who now makes his way to Hong Kong. But first, lots to talk about out of the gate. As we burst out of the gates and discuss all things happening in Hong Kong racing and world racing, Shane, I'll start with you. Vincent Ho is bona fide flying. He had a 4-timer. By gee, he's riding well.
Riding sensational. I'm going to highlight his ride on Straight Arrow later. It was an outstanding ride, but he's just gone to a different level. Here's Master of Fortune. He rode him back last. Of course, we all know the track favoured down the middle to outside on a wet track, and a lot of the winners were out there, or mainly all of them, once it rained, and that happens all the time on that track, Clint. You know that.
Yeah, it does, and that was why I was surprised that Flying High, we managed to find part of our strategy, drew the outside fence in the straight race, was paying around $10. He seemed a huge price for a horse.
Did he travel?
And he was going to be in the best part all along. But no, getting back to Vincent, he is riding particularly well. I mean, he rode 4 there. He's just taking those next steps, isn't he? And I know Shane's mentioned how well he's been impressed with what he said and taken on board little hints and couple of little pointers that he's been, I think, got from Shane, which is great.
Yeah, 72 wins for the season.
Great.
That is already all-time record for him with many weeks to go. So he's done a great job.
He has, and he's probably going to be looking for the next star that he can get on now. I mean, he's got Golden 60. You'd imagine there's probably one more good season in Golden 60, but he'll be looking for some of those other horses that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Zach can't ride them all, Shane, so he'd be looking for probably the ones, the next best in line, I suppose.
There's a few nice ones coming along next season, and John Sires seems to have a few of them.
And interesting also, Shane, he was on our show last week. Great chat. We've really seen him evolve as a media personality. I mean, he obviously gets on really well with Shane, so we're starting to see that come through on our show. Hopefully he gets some ride, Shane, when he goes to the UK. He outlined his plans there.
Yep.
I hope he's rewarded with some good rides.
It's always hard to go to another country when you're not from there, of course, because they don't really know you, and they've got their own jockeys riding their horses. So he'll get rides, but whether he gets good rides, that's debatable. But it's never easy. And he's not staying there either. It's just a fly in, fly out type of visit for probably 3 or 4 weeks.
It's notoriously difficult to break in the UK as well. It is. I mean, they've got their established stables, etc. It's not an easy place, but the experience will do them the world of good.
Also, all-weather trebles, including Zach Purton, who continues having a wonderful season, and also Jimmy Ting.
Well, Zach pretty much needs 2 wins a meeting to get to that 171 mark, so the 3 does make a difference. This run rate.
So he's at 132,
Yeah, look, if he can easily get to a meeting, but what you don't want is have those duck egg sort of meetings where it can really put you back, as we know, as you run out of overs, Richo, it gets tougher and tougher, but great night for Jimmy Ting. I mean, he was in good form. We'd love to see Gummy Gummy win there. He looked one of the better bets on the card. He started short, as he should have. Jumped better for Zach, and he never really looked like losing, to be honest. But he might be a horse that can be followed going forward as well. Shane, Gummy Gummy's going along pretty well.
Well, he's consistent. It had 3 seconds before that, and you can ride him off the pace, but that track was on pace and kind of fence. And Zach showed initiative and just said, I'm taking everything out of the equation, which he does when he rides odds-on chances. He just jumps, goes, puts them there and says, I'm on the best horse. If he's not good enough, well, bad luck, and takes trouble out of it. And he did that on Gummy Gummy, and he led, which I never had him leading, actually. I had him running 3rd or 4th. So Zach showed good initiative there, and he was too good, and he's racing consistently, and he can win again.
I think it's a real good pointer for those doing the form in Hong Kong as well. When you watch Zach's ride early and you watch it, if you've compared it with a normal race in Australia around the world, you say, gee, he's working hard to get to the lead here. But he's identified the pattern, he's identified his rivals, and he doesn't mind working a bit harder to get there. And then he was empty late, but so were the rest chasing him. And you'll often see him do that. And when you do see arguably a pattern like we saw on the dirt there, it's probably a better way. It is a better way to ride them. Get that spot if you can, and he jumped on terms and was happy to do it.
For anyone who was watching racing.com during the week, Shane was a very special guest of our great mate Terry Bailey with Tuesdays with Terry. And you actually spoke about that, Shane, about identifying track pattern early and then riding to it and trying to get the advantage over the other jockeys.
It's a huge advantage if you know it early. I know that. And getting your horse on the right part of the track. I always explain to people, it's like on the beach as a human going for a walk or a run. And if you're up high in the soft sand trying to run, it's really tough, isn't it? But if you go down towards the water where the water's come up and it's made the sand harder and firmer, it's a lot easier. And that's how I explain it. It's like that. So if you can find that advantage, it's just links better.
And I reckon he does a bit of walking on the beach too up on the Gold Coast.
Normally
swinging hands.
Would have been swinging hands, whispering sweet nothings. We move on towards some big prize money increases. That international meeting in December, well, that's become the destiny, hasn't it? Sort of like an unofficial world championship at the end of the season, and now it gets even richer.
It does. I mean, the club are amazing at this, where they stay in line or try to stay ahead of the curve in terms of making it appealing for those around the globe. We've seen these amazing increases, Shane, in Australia with prize money, which has been quite incredible, to be honest. You wonder where it's going to end, and I'd say we're probably at the top of the mountain rather than halfway up it. But certainly in Hong Kong, staying in line, it makes the big day there in December very appealing if you're from around the globe to go.
Yeah, Australia's done a fantastic job, but I don't know how it's going to keep going. I watched Canterbury races last Wednesday, and the first race, there was 22,000 in the win pool on the TAB New South Wales tote. When I was riding, there was hundreds of thousands. So it's got me beat where this money's coming from. Now, there's no doubt the corporates and the tax is very high, but the corporates don't let the computer teams on, and they don't let any winners on. So there's no way they can be getting this huge amount of money to keep this prize money going up in Australia. I don't know how it can. So there could be an end of it very, very soon, I feel. Hong Kong turnover just keeps going. Winfred does an amazing job. He knows what punters want. He knows it's all about the punter and nothing else. And he knows how to keep the money coming in. And he's done an amazing job. And, of course, the stake money keeps going up. But I'm not knocking Australia for prize money because it's amazing. But I want to know where it's going to be in about 5 years' time.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? So about 6.4 Aussie million dollars will be the Hong Kong Cup there on International Day. Just to give you a bit of a comparison for those that are in Australia.
We might have to book our ticket early this year, I think.
You think it could?
I think
we've
got to be up there, I think, this year for the.
Well, I'm allocating time in my schedule to
make
be
sure
with
you just block it out because I know you're a busy man.
I've blocked it out, and also I'm blocking out. Also, when I look at the Hong Kong racing, I'm blocking out a part of the calendar now that's going to have twilight meetings. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I think this is a really good initiative, and they needed to do it at some point. I mean, they did have those sort of misty things that on the sides of the course, Shane, that they used to try and cool the horses down, but it can get incredibly hot and humid in Hong Kong, and obviously some horses would return with heat stress, and this was going to happen at some point because when I was growing up in Hong Kong, they only used to really race to the end of May. They've extended the season now. We go deep into July or into mid-July, and Shane would be able to tell you better than me, when you're out there competing, it's not only hard on the horses, Shane, I'd imagine it's quite oppressive for a lot of jockeys, particularly the heavier jockeys that, might weight-wise might need to be wasting or trying to ride light. It's not an easy thing to do.
Okay, so throughout my life, I've hardly drunk fluids. I just never have. I could go a couple of days without fluids. That's just me. In Australia, I would never sweat when I rode. In Hong Kong, on a hot day in the summer, I would ride. I would probably have 6 bottles of Coke and about 3 Gatorades.
Wow.
And after the last race, I was always 1.5 kilos lighter than I was when I started. You would take about 4 T-shirts to the races to put under your silks. They would just be dripping wet after a race or two. So you had to continue to take them off and change them. You sweat so much in Hong Kong. It's so humid. It's different to Australian heat. And you lose a lot of weight. So twilight meetings makes common sense for the horses, for the jockeys, for everyone. And it's going to be good, I think, Clint.
Yeah, and I think what we see in Australia as well, I mean, the twilight meetings, it's better for those people that knock off work or whatever and can have a wage. And, the night racing's been around in Hong Kong a long time. And I think it'll be a good thing anyway, as far as that's concerned.
So Sunday afternoon, so traditionally in Australia, you'll be looking at around 3 to 4 o'clock for the first race. Now that'll be pushed out to 6 o'clock for those meetings. So pushing back 2 to 3
What
hours.
about the first time you'll be having your aperitif, your little G&T?
Oh, a little with a little lemon twist.
Yes, exactly.
Sounds fantastic.
Hey, Richo, the good thing about that is at least racing.com can show the whole lot now. On a Sunday, they only show from about 5 or 6 o'clock on.
That'll be eliminated. You're dead right, because also keep in mind that's in the depth of winter in Australia, so the meetings are all done by 5 o'clock because we run out of sunlight. So you're 100% right. Sunday, late afternoons into evenings is going to be compelling viewing, and you'll be able to see it on the free-to-air platform, of course, with racing.com. Let's have a look at who's made the Black Book file, which we call Sweet in Defeat.
They're off, and Sugar missed the start by 4 lengths. Then Dublin Star, Sugar fast buck, smart leader. Oversubscribed, lunges at the post, missed. Sugar, that's a sweet win for Alfie Chan.
Our Black Booker here on Hutchie's Honkers, and the triple trio is called Sweet in Defeat.
Yeah,
Who
that
jumped
it is.
in?
Well, look, we had a wet track, as mentioned from Shane a little earlier, so pardon me, I'm not sure that we'll get too many out of that particular meeting, but there was one that I thought ran particularly well, and I know him from Victoria, a horse by the name of Invincible Sage. Gee, we talked about flying high. I think this horse would have nearly won with a clear run. Hugh Bowman rode him. It was called Thrombone in Victoria. He's a good horse.
Yeah.
And he's gone up there. You can see he's travelling actually alongside Flying High here. And Hugh has a better horse. He just doesn't quite get that smooth run into the race at Flying High. What I couldn't believe about this race, Shane, why aren't more of them trying to get to the outside?
Yeah, why is Flying High unimpeded?
He's on the outside fence, and half of these other riders are staying, closer in on the course, which I couldn't believe. I understand some of them can't just jump over them, but I was surprised that there wasn't more riders that have just made a beeline to the outside. Anyway, getting back to Invincible Sage, he was a good run, but what did you make of that, Shane? Were you surprised that Flying High kind of had his own sort of run down the outside
lane?
First of all, he's flying. We've highlighted him before, how they're riding him different now. He's one horse that really benefits from racing back and being held up. And Matthew knows how to ride him, and he's riding him extremely well. Look, you go to the outside there, but it can be a bit tight. I understand what you're saying, Clint, but there's only so many horses that can get to the outside in a race up the straight. So, and sometimes you've got to go back to get to the outside.
Yeah, that's a fair call.
But he's flying, that horse, mate. He's absolutely flying. They're riding him correctly now, and he's in form, and he's going great.
It is a fair call,
Yeah.
but I'll say this. He was the only one on the outside fence.
Correct.
So there was no others.
Well, your point being, and he wasn't leading. So your point being that those that led, I didn't see one jockey look to that outside rail and see if it was clear if they could get to it.
Anyway.
They just ran in a straight
We were
line.
very happy, just quietly.
We were loving it.
$10, Shane. He was a good price, and I'm pretty sure you would have fancied him too, particularly at those odds.
He had a very good chance. I'm not going to say what happened to me in that race, Clint.
Okay.
I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
Ask me what, you'll go, oh my God, no.
Okay, you do it off air and I'll film it and then we'll put it on the show.
No.
Invincible Sage stay in that class. 1,000 metres will
Richo,
get to 12.
Richo, let's just say I pushed a wrong button on the computer with an extra naught.
Oh, no. Oh,
Yeah.
with an extra naught could be a good thing if you put the extra naught with the horse that won.
No, it was a bad thing.
Oh, no, that's not good. Getting back, Thrombone was a really talented. He's been a
Yes.
good purchase actually, because
Jerome Hunter.
talented horse here, and was really headed the right direction. And I think they'll be buoyed by that performance for sure.
Jockeys in Hong Kong, it's time for you to either sit up, cop some praise, or if you think you put in a bad one, go and put the kettle on. Genius or slaughter.
They sweep for home now. Beander Cross has come very wide. Beander Cross answering the urgings of Shane Dye. Mannerism coming at him. Mannerism has got it.
Daring tactics by Shane Dye. He's got Octagonal in full flight on the corner. Bold tactics by Shane Dye are going to pay off, and he pinches the Chipping Norton.
A rare opportunity for jockeys around the world to be assessed by a Hall of Famer, and that is Raymond Shane Dye, the golden boy who caught your eye from a positive. Who was a genius ride?
The only reason this horse won was because of the ride, and it was Vincent Ho, and it was on straight Aaron. And I'm going to take you through a couple of the whole race. There's a couple of very important factors. First of all, the start. He doesn't bustle him out. He's going 2,400 metres and he gets him to his rhythm. Look at his head. It's down, it's bowed. He's got him so relaxed. And this is just a great ride the whole race. He gambled and he didn't try and come out. Now, the first instance I want to watch, you to watch, is the grey horse in front of him. And he's one off the fence following him. But out of the straight, somehow he gets inside of him, and the jockey, which was Harry Bentley, didn't even know, because you'll see him look around saying, how's there two horses inside me now? So he improved his position, Vincent, without even wasting any energy. Now, you're going to see it on the top shot up here. Harry, look around. So all of a sudden, Vincent's got up inside here, and you can see he's getting up. Now, Harry will have a look here. He'll have a look. Here it comes. You'll see him. He goes, looks beside. Now he's got two horses inside him and he's three deep where he was only one off the fence. So that's a great ride from Vincent there. And he's improved his position one spot without even wasting any energy. Now the next one is Lyle Richardson on the horse in front of him, which I think was Butterfield, wasn't it, Clint? Butterfield?
Yes.
Now he's pulling and he's in and out. Now, he doesn't even realise. He thinks he's one off the fence, right? Vincent does it again. He gets up. Now look at Lyle looking there. And Lyle goes, how's there two horses inside me? Now all of a sudden, Vincent is behind the horse to beat, which was Sword Point, and he's wasted no energy and had his horse relaxed. Now, the biggest thing about this ride was turning for home. You watch Vincent save ground and then pull him to the outside, and he pulls his head out. And on the top shot, which is the head on, you'll see it. But not only does he do that, when he does it, he puts his stick in his right hand so the horse doesn't run back. Watch here. He pulls him out. Now let's get to, we've saved ground. Now let's get to the outside. He switches the stick because he doesn't want that horse to run into the worst part of the ground. And if he's hit him in his right hand, a horse will have a tendency to go out. Now he's in the best part of the track. Unbelievable ride, perfect the whole way. Why that horse won was because of the ride. And I hope you understand all those things I said during the race. And
Brilliant,
that's why.
mate. What a great analysis of a wonderful ride, and it was Shane's best bet. So I think many of our Triple Trio punters were keen on him in the last straight Aaron, and that was an absolute peach from a jockey. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but he seems like he's been listening a lot to sort of the stuff that Shane's been saying about playing percentages, but taking a chance.
He's executing it.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, it's all those little 1-2 percenters that he was doing during the race, wasn't it? It's fantastic
brilliant.
listening to Shane roll through that. And I suppose the other point, Casper Founds has done a great job with the horse. He's had it for 4 runs.
Unbelievable job.
3 winners and the Derby, which was a bit farcically run. And who knows? I mean, on the evidence of what we've seen, you think if he got a normal tempo in that race, he looks your winner. But what do we take out of the race? That's the other issue for me. It was a wet track. Ultimately, the horses beat Sword Point and Natural Storm. So, look, it is a race that favours lightweights. But Shane, I don't know what
you're looking forward to the Chader.
Yeah, the Champions of Chad. Did they run? Do we follow him? Do we trust that form? There's a lot of points I think to take out of it.
What do you think?
He wasn't impressive, but it was a wet track, and you got to remember that he was going from the 1800 to 2400 for the first time. I know other horses in the race were doing the same, like Sword Point, he was going 1824. But in Australia, he hadn't raced past 2000, but his Australian form was outstanding, I felt. And watching him, he was a serious Group 1 horse. So I think he's still got improvement there, and I think he will be running in all the Group 1 staying 2,000-metre races next season and the International 2400. It's just a matter whether they'll go to the 2000 or 24. He's a very, very good horse, that. But it didn't look as though he's that good on that race, and I'm not disagreeing with that. But he can go to another level, and if he run in the Chartered and Chader's Cup, he can definitely win it, I think, even at set weights with Romantic Warrior. Ooh. The other horse in that race, which one run well, and just in behind them, because he had the big weight, was Douglas White's horse. Russian Empire. His run was good, like with the big weight. And come the 2400 and Charter and Chaders, he's not going to be far away either.
No, well, you'd think at level weights, I mean, is it, about a 10 kilo swing? So, there'll be.
And he's been travelling around the world with Senior Toad.
He ran very well.
He's done a good job, whereas the big grey horse did cover a bit of extra ground, which Shane showed.
I wonder if that'll be the Slaughter, the grey.
Yeah, is that the grey, the Slaughter?
Is Harry the Slaughter?
No, it's a wet track. Oh. How can you blame anyone for a slaughter on a wet track? They go everywhere and horses don't handle it. Boys, and the other meeting's a dirt meeting. Yeah. So let's leave the boys alone.
Jeez, he's very
nothing stood out.
He's become new age. He's new age. Yeah. He is the new age RS Dye.
He's building a bank.
Hey, let's talk world racing next. Let's talk world racing, global racing, and the first of the English classics was during last weekend, and it was all part of the world pool. Shane just touched on that about in regards to betting into world pools or betting into pools here in Australia. Perfect example of that was the Guineas, where there was $1,000 in one pool and nearly $200,000 in another, because it was all part of the world pool. And Frankie Dettori does it again in his end of his career season, and a horse by the name of Chilean wins the 2,000 Guineas, the 9th horse to complete the Dewhurst 2-year-old Group 1 into the Guineas 3-year-old Group 1, and he is magnificent. How good's Frankie?
It's an amazing career that he's had, and he keeps winning him, doesn't he? So it's going to be a highlight for him for sure. Whirlpool was great, like you said. I think they broke the record in terms of the turnover as well, which is brilliant. We want to see that pool continue to grow because it's good for racing everywhere in the world if that can be successful. That track, though, apparently they watered it a couple of days out.
Why?
They had,
oh my God.
With the forecast that they were going to have all that rain, and I don't know if you saw the race, Shane, but it was so messy in terms of what unfolded the 2000 Guineas. Looked like no one wanted to lead. The track was, quite testing. So there was certainly a lot of excuses for beaten runners.
Well, on wet tracks, there always is, Clint. The favourite of O'Brien's and Ryan Moore's run last, and he looked like winning before the race. Just back on Frankie, unbelievable effort to do what he's doing. From what I'm being told, he's loving America and riding in wherever he's riding, California, isn't it?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And he's just loving it, and it's revitalised him because it's easier. The races aren't as far, and he's just loving it. So who knows? You never know whether he is. I know he says he's going to retire, but all of a sudden, if you're loving something and you're going somewhere new and you're going really well, you just never know.
Yeah, watch this space. There is interesting ITV during their coverage of the Chester meeting actually ran a poll. Yes or no, is Frankie actually going to retire? Because he is going so well at the moment. So he wins there with Chaldean. Now, where will he go? Trained by Andrew Balding, son of Frankel. Does he go towards the Derby or does he stay at a mile? Now, there's some reports that they're thinking more of a mile. St James's Palace Stakes at Royal Ascot, or will go to an Irish 2,000 Guineas. G1 Goldmine, if he went to a Derby, will it suit?
Well, we'll have a look at the algorithms, etc. And this is of course, distance profile. And you'd have to say that that'd be the testing his stamina, and one would imagine that they'll probably stay more so in their distance range. That's not to say they might not go up to 10 furlongs, try 2,000 metres in the right race. Obviously, he was very good there. But just back on Frankie as well, he wouldn't be the first sportsman that's put up a retirement and then, then come back. I mean, they all seem to do it these days. Tom Brady, he had about 3 goes at it.
Tom said, I'm going to retire, and I want to spend time with the family. He lasted 8 weeks. Cost him his marriage when he was hanging out because someone offered him, $400 million for a year, and he goes, actually, it's not a bad idea.
I think I'll do that.
It's not a bad idea.
There you go.
I love so many things about the Whirlpool. Also love the groom of the winner of the 2,000 Guineas.
Special prize,
£4,000. Now, then we went to Chester. Oh, wow. What about the Cheshire Oaks? Have you seen one win easier than this?
No, well, we should ask Shane because obviously he's very close with Ryan. Have you spoken to Ryan lately, Shane, and has he mentioned that horse?
No, not the last few days. I know they had a very good filly that had a problem, and it was by Justified. It won 2 out of 2, and it was a superstar, like their best, and it went and missed. And they felt as though it was going to win everything. So this is the next one. So it's an amazing stable where if one goes and missed, they've always got another one there to replace it.
So Oaks looks like it's going to be really hard. I think the caller says, Chester today, look out, Epsom.
Yeah.
So it goes towards the Oaks. And also Frankie might have a Derby ride if the Guineas winner doesn't go that way. Arrest won at Chester and won the Chester Vase. So this is over 2,400 metres. Small field, but a good one of Coolmore's. And Frankie's got, if the Guineas winner went towards a Derby, would have an interesting decision to make.
Well, you like to see the ones that are already proven over the trip, and gee, it looked testing there, didn't it? But who knows? Frankie's having one of the. I mean, he's like we said, he's had an amazing career,
incredible.
But he for whatever reason, things keep working out for him. Like I don't know if Chaldean wins the Guineas if it's not a testing track, but he's just one of those riders that's right place, right time. Maybe it's the right horse there as well.
And we
don't appreciate them as much in Australia as they do worldwide.
Oh,
some
of us
they
do.
knock him. Well, I do. I know that. I know how good he is. But in Australia, a lot of people knock him because of what's happened in Melbourne. But on the world scene, he's the number one jockey in the world that stands out because of his charisma, his ability, and what he's done. And the day he retires, it's going to leave a hole in racing to get on the front pages of papers because he'll be gone.
Well, Shane has also spoken about superstars. There has been no one in racing globally that has brought more mainstream to racing, been more of a superstar, genuine star than Frankie. And I don't think there's ever been anyone that's done what he's done.
If you walk down the streets of London, New York, LA, Melbourne, etc., all around the world, and asked anyone who doesn't know much about racing, tell us people you know about racing. In Australia, Gay Waterhouse, Black Caviar, Winx would be mentioned. But around the world, globally, it'd be Frankie Dettori, wouldn't it? It'd be Frankie would be the number one name.
100% on the world scene. Dubai, he had a restaurant in Dubai. I don't know whether he's still got it. He probably has, but he spent a lot of time in Dubai over the March, April type of period riding there, and of course he rode for Godolphin for so long. So he's a worldwide name, and now he's in California riding and loving it. So now he's hit America, but he was always going to America every year for the Breeders' Cup and all the big races. But he's just got that charisma.
Shane.
And not only that, what you also got to do is have a couple of problems in your life. And he's run into trouble a couple of times, but it only adds to your profile and creates more of an image about you. So he had it all, Frankie.
Yeah, absolutely. And lucky to be alive. Ray Cochran pulling him out of a small aeroplane crash, which is unbelievable. So we love Frankie. And hand on heart, absolutely love him, admire him so much. Hey, Shane, in your career, did you ever ride in India?
No, I had an opportunity to go, but I never went. I could have gone there, but never went to India. Actually, it's a country I've never been to, actually. I've been everywhere, but I just haven't seemed to get to India.
No, I've never been there either. Suraj Naraidu is a name that Indian racing fans certainly know. He's been a multiple Indian Derby winning jockey. He's won all the classics over there. He's having a working holiday in Australia. And yesterday at Kilmore in a maiden, for the Mar Eustace team, he got his first winner, and it was great.
I thought it was great to see, I mean, he's ridden over 2,000 winners in India. Apparently, he's broken all the records, and I thought it was just a nice touch during the week. His father, his family were there. You'll see them lift him up here. This is what he did when he won the Guineas over in India. So whenever he run a Group 1. But we like to see those moments, and it's just another indicator, I suppose, of the world of racing really all coming together. We've got, I love to see it.
Gets smaller and smaller.
He looks like he rides all right too.
Yeah, no doubting that. He just needs an opportunity. Yeah, he's done it.
He looked very good there. He looked polished, and the horse ran for him, and he was balanced. I didn't even realise that just watching that film there. He looked fantastic.
Yeah, and Shane, this is probably not the right time to bring it up, but we put all our names in a hat for the Triple Trio as to who was going to go and represent us over at Royal Ascot, and believe it or not, my name came out, mate, so I'll be there representing the family.
Mate, I wouldn't want to go because I would want business class airfare, and I know you fly economy, so just deal me out. I'm off the list, and I know you wouldn't pay business class over there. It's over 20 grand now.
What do you need business class? You're 5'2",
mate. You can go economy, mate. I'll let you.
I'll be at the back of the plane talking of someone who flies first class. Our special guest, Brenton Avdulla's next. Our very special star guest, a champion jockey in Australia, 13 career Group 1s, including 2 golden slippers. He was a champion title-winning jockey in Sydney, but he now calls Hong Kong home. Brenton Avdulla, great to have you on the program, mate. Always a pleasure to see you. And how have you settled in, buddy?
Yeah, hey, boys. Settled in as well as possible. We've only been here for, probably 9 days now, so... the family's come in. We've packed up, moved over, and just trying to settle in as well as possible.
Have you found the quick transition, Brenton? I know there's a lot to sort of take in where you got track work and all the getting to know everyone. But how are you finding it so far?
Yeah, finding it good. It's completely different lifestyle to what I'm used to in Sydney. Obviously in Sydney I'm sort of going 4 days a week minimum and a couple of sets of trials, and you could be at Warwick Farm on a Monday for 25 heats where. Here, I live on course. I don't start track work till much later in the morning. I only rode a couple. It takes you 10 minutes to work a horse. Obviously, I can walk to the races from Sha Tin, and Happy Valley's 30 minutes away. So I'm only doing 2 days a week. So a lot more time at home with the family, which is good. And I'm enjoying it.
And what attracted you to pick up the family and move to Hong Kong?
Funny enough, it was never really on the radar for this season. I've thought about it in the past. I was thinking about coming probably 2018 after the premiership, and then a few little things happened. I got married, and then the birth of my first child. So we ended up just staying in Sydney, and then the jockey club approached me about a month or so ago, 6 weeks ago, and just sort of floated the idea with me, and I was more than happy to sort of get out of Sydney for the winter. I was obviously going to go to Brisbane a couple of times, but the jockey club were pretty adamant that they wanted me to come and offered a bit. So I just thought, look, we'll try it out for the end of the season, and if I'm going to do it, we'll do it properly. We'll bring the family and see how we all settle in, and we'll see what happens from there.
Brendan, I hope the wife's not watching. Didn't you just say a couple of little things happened? I got married and had a kid. Getting married and having a kid, mate, is a pretty big thing. Trust me on that. Yeah. So just rephrase that again. What actually?
You might have saved me. Yeah, you might have saved me. Some big things happened, I should say.
Yeah, a couple of big things. That's better. The biggest thing with Hong Kong, a bit of advice, is track work. You just got to ride as much track work for the trainers and get there, and just keep your head there at the track in the mornings and make sure they realise you may not be getting on horses or good ones, but your turn will definitely come if you're talking to the trainers every morning at the track work and staying there for a couple of hours and working hard. It'll turn.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. So obviously, the first few days I didn't know who was anyone. I didn't know anyone, and I obviously had a couple of rides at Happy Valley, and then got a few there on Sunday that most of them struggled to get to the corner. But I'm trying to ride as much work as possible and build some relationships. And I think with my book of rides on Saturday, I think I've got 7 rides, and they're all for with different trainers. So I'm riding for some nice trainers and some good trainers, and just trying to hit the back of the net soon.
You are a very popular member of any jockey's room where you sit. So you've got some good mates there. You've got Huey Bowman and you've got Zach Purton and Luke Curry's there. Are they helping you or hindering you? Because they know how good you are. They don't want to help you too much.
Well, look, my little fella, he's been playing with Zach's little fella, so they've been getting along. So I said to Zach the other day, I said, "Come on, mate. It's a Cash, little Purton's helping little Avdulla out. So why doesn't Big Purton help?" It hasn't worked out like that yet, but. No, the boys are good. Look, they've helped me with just the little things. Take the racing out of it, just the lifestyle and whatever I've needed. They've been really good and really helpful. But I suppose Hong Kong probably wouldn't usually have probably 4 Australians in at the one time in the room. So, I think it's a bonus at the moment.
For some of our Hong Kong audience that don't understand how good this guy is, here's a little reminder. Shane, this is one of the great rides ever to win a Golden Slipper. Brenton's ride on Fireburn. This was breathtaking considering where he was and how he was able to pick the horse up and somehow win the slipper.
Brendan, were you worried at the half mile when the horse come back in front of you and you just lost a spot? Or did you feel as though she was still going to win then?
No, I thought my race was over, Shane. Look, I was really confident pre-race. I thought she'd run top 3 for sure. And then once that interference happened from, around the circle there at Rosehill, I just thought I was out of play. You don't usually strike that interference in these big races and pick themselves up and win, especially 2-year-olds. So I thought my race was gone, and I just tried to keep her balanced for another furlong. And then, funny enough, I've gone from thinking the race was over to about the 250, 300. I just knew they wouldn't be there. You could just feel her surge underneath me, and the race was over.
She was an outstanding filly. She didn't come back quite as well, or did the rest catch up?
Look, she obviously had a long prep. It's not easy for those horses now, this day and age, to sort of get through to the, she did obviously the Triple Crown, tried to win the Triple Crown and came back early then for the Golden Rose. But the tracks did to dry out. She was obviously very effective on wet ground. But, obviously this prep, she ran well in an Oaks and stuff like that. So she was just such a dynamite 2-year-old filly, so push button and just tried her guts out and handled the conditions, which I thought, at Sydney that time it was very wet and she just handled the conditions better than most.
And Brenton would love that celebration. Also love the one in the Oaks when you bowed to the crowd. And in Hong Kong, they don't mind a little bit of celebration.
Yeah, that's right.
Potentially, after post-race as well. So make sure that you keep a couple of those in the locker for when you do have a bit of success. But I was at the races this day on the coverage with with Shane, and he was ecstatic over this when he just loved your daring tactics aboard the, I don't know, what was it, 150 to 1 or whatever it was, Lasketti Spirit. So that must have been a great thrill, and certainly the. I think
celebrations are the best.
Celebrations are outstanding, but you copped a small fine for that one, didn't you? They use it as promos now, of course, but I think you copped a little fine for the celebration.
Yeah, it was a $1,000 fine, that. But I think for the next 12 months, I was on every billboard to do with racing. So what is it? Any publicity is good publicity. I think Shane would know that.
Yeah, I always said that. People may not realise who watch the show, but that day you led by about 25 lengths. You went straight out there. It was 2,500 metres. But I kept saying all day on the program, whatever leads just wins. So you just got to lead. Before that race, did you have any intentions of leading by 25 lengths and letting it run? Was that what you were going to do, or didn't you realise you were so far in front?
No, the game plan was always lead and roll, but it was never about a margin. To be honest, she hadn't showed any speed in any of her races, but she had a 1.5 mile run prior to getting to the Oaks. So she was the only filly in the Oaks that had a 1.5 mile leader, albeit in a maiden, but she did have that, the stamina in her legs. So the plan was, if possible, to try and get to the front at some stage. But I thought it might take me 800 metres to get to the front. But when I was able to get to the front by the 2,000 metre mark, and instead of slowing the speed, I just kept letting her flow. And I didn't worry about margins if I was a half a length or 4 or 10 or whatever. I just wanted to ride her where she was just below her top, and then be on my bike at the half mile, because I just felt that she'd outstay most of them. Whether she could outstay a few of the better fillies, I'm not sure, but I just thought I'd ride her, to run a strong 2,400 and see what would happen after that. And realistically, I thought she'd run top 8.
Sorry, Brendan, did you realise how far you were in front, like halfway through the race, or not?
No, I never looked back. I just back to my judgment of rate. I've always been one. I've never judged tempo on a leader sometimes by just sectional. Sometimes I feel some horses are high rollers and some can't deal with it. All horses are individuals. So you get those high rolling, leaders that, they don't want to go at a steady speed. They want to be let flow. Their speed's their biggest asset. And I just felt with her, I was better off letting her roll at whatever tempo that she wanted to. So I wasn't really worried with what was happening behind me, and just wanted to back my own judgment to try and get it right with her.
And you did it absolutely perfectly. So 11 rides so far for the season, 2/3. Can I turn your attention to racing tomorrow, Saturday? Leather Vanguard's the first of your rides. So for all the horses that we're about to talk about here, do you know much about them? Or maybe we might be able to encourage Shane to give you a little heads up on each of these horses.
Yeah, don't know much about them. Still trying to work it all out, but it's all happened very quickly. But like I said, I've got 7 rides for 7 different trainers, and I've got John Size, Jamie Richards, Ricky Yu, Francis. So I've got some good support from good top class trainers in Hong Kong. But I know a couple of them. The first one, not so much, but a couple of them later in the morning, later in the day, I've sort of ridden work and stuff like that. But it's a bit different, obviously, just trying to get my head around the horses and the riders and just learning about it. So be more than happy for Hutchi or Shane to give us a leg up and benefit for sure.
You've got a good chance on a horse for John Size. It's a tough race, but I think you'll be there or thereabouts. Noble Win was a bit unlucky the other day. Zach rode it, got held up and ran into a wall, but it's quite it's a decent little race, but he'll run a nice race for you. And fortunately, you haven't drawn too bad there.
It's race 9, number 13.
Race 9, number 13.
And I thought the 1,400 was suiting too.
Exactly. So I thought he looked like one of your better rides on the day.
Shane, take over. This is where you're at your absolute best. And okay, Brenton, you might want to grab a pen.
I just got to put in what he's on.
What about race number 4, Shane?
He's racing all right. He'll be up there from gate 9. He'll jump. It's a straight run. In Hong Kong, it's not like in Flemington straight races. At Flemington, you need cover, but in Hong Kong, you do not need cover up the straight to win. They just get out there and run. So he's going to be in a line up there, and he'll be running somewhere there. Whether he can win or not's debatable. He's not racing
He's had a bit of a wind issue, that horse too.
Correct.
So he's better off to let roll.
Yeah, he'll be up there. Race 5, I can help you with this horse.
His name is Colonel?
Yeah, now you've got to rate him. He'll lead for sure. Let's have a look. Not much pace there. So he's going to lead for sure, but you've got to rate him. He doesn't run 1,400. I think he's had, 7, 8 goes at 1,400, and he's always been weak and he hasn't placed. But if he can rate him well and get a soft lead, then you're a chance to run it. But the last 100's a worry. That's his.
Yep.
So you got to rate him well. He'll lead for sure. That's an easy one for you, that one.
Then race 6, Sharp and Bright for David Hall.
Oh, yeah, his trials haven't been too bad, and he's going 1,400 first up, which he needed.
Yep.
He's been getting back and running on in the trials. A couple of his trials, I think he had 3 trials, if I remember correctly. 1,400 should suit him, but of course, it's never easy winning first up. And he will improve with racing. He's probably a horse after a couple of runs for you.
And then last but not least, race 10, So We Joy from Barrier 2.
Not the worst. People think it's a dirt horse because his last 5 runs, I think, have been on dirt. Pretty consistent, gets back a bit, runs on, but he does go on the grass.
Yeah.
He'll be running midfield, not the worst.
Yeah, he could run okay, actually, Brenton. He'll surprise. He's the kind of horse that'll go at it 20 or 30 to 1, and he won't be that far away. But once again, it's not an easy race. But you got a couple of sort of chances in amongst this, small chances.
Brenton
I'll tell you the thing about Hong Kong, Brendan. You get there, you don't get good rides, but if you can fluke a winner or two early on at big prices, it changes very quickly for you. And it's just a matter of turning up every meeting and putting in the hard work, and everyone gets their chance. It's just a matter of when you grab it, whether it can be, whether you can, what's the word? Grab the horn by the, the bull by the horns, and run with it. So no one gets there with brilliant rides. You got to prove to them that you can ride. No doubt you will.
Beautiful. Appreciate it.
Mate, so you thought you were coming on for an interview, but in the end, you've just got your jockey manager doing all the form for you.
Nah,
and the good thing is I don't charge.
You'll have to pay somewhere.
Been very helpful. We'll be right. Like I said, I feel I've adapted to the racing very quickly, but it's like Shane said, it's just about getting on those right horses. But I've been able to fluke. A couple of them are run third at very big odds, and hopefully a couple of them are drawn well. So I'm finding that in these class 4s and 5s, barriers are a big thing. Because the horses are so limited that the best run, best ride wins the race. So barriers, and hopefully just be able to make the most of the opportunities I'm being given.
You're already ahead of the game,
mate. He already understands what's going on. Happy wife, happy life is what they say over in Hong Kong as well, mate. So that credit card needs to be full. There's some beautiful shopping, some lunches to be done. You're going to have some fun, brother.
Mate, keep her away from Nicole Purden. Don't let her go near Nicole Purden, okay?
We're all in the same building, so they're only a couple levels below.
Oh, no. Trouble for you, mate. Hey, as always, great to chat. Good luck. We're all barracking for you, mate, and thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for your help.
What a ripper he is. The one and only Brenton Avdulla. A new addition to Hong Kong racing, and you just know he'll make it in. Let's grab the form guide. Saturday is for Hong Kong racing this week, and we'll dissect a few races here. We start with the Hong Kong Macau Trophy, a handicap over 1,400 metres here, with some interesting horses for us to assess.
Yeah, I mean, the Macau horses do make it difficult to sort of price up, but generally speaking, Richo, we've got a few entrants from Macau. Joey Lau has won the race, I think, in its inaugural year, but it's a tough one for them to come across and win. The Hong Kong horses usually have their measure, particularly at home. So if you take the Macau horses out, I've got Beauty Eternal, who really strikes the same sort of field he did when he won the last race the other day. There's a couple other new ones in there, but I've got him marked at $250. Circuit Stella, of course, ran second in that race, around $5. Pretty big prices, the rest. I mean, did have Red Lion a bit short of the last time he went around, but he goes up a little. He meets a few of his rivals worse at the weights, Beauty Eternal, but that's the key form reference. This was the win, of course. A lot of the horses come out of this race, and I think the way it'll be run, Zach will probably get a very similar run. He didn't have a bad run this day. He had a good run in transit as just a little weight swing. And
was this just to blow the cobwebs out after the Derby? Will we see a better horse this week?
I think that might be about him, Shane. I mean, he's at this point in time, he's 2,000 back to 1,400. He'll park in behind now, of course, and this is one of the Macau entrants. Like I said, it's difficult to line up the form, but generally speaking, they're sort of that 3 to 5 lengths off them at the top level. But what did you make of Beauty Eternal, Shane? I mean, do you think that, he just got there the other day. It was workmanlike more than impressive.
I thought he was disappointing. I thought he'd win easier. He did sit 3 wide midfield. He won't be 3 wide here. He can be on the fence third if he wants, because he's got gate 4. Now, Circuit Stella's got gate 3, and he's going to lead unless Star of Yu Chang from Macau takes him on. And you got the 2 horses in the Golden Scenery gate 1 and Cheerful Days gate 2 that are going to get back. So straight away, if Zach wants to be third fence, he can be. But Zach doesn't like to go to the fence when he's on favoured runners. But he'll get a run following Circuit Stella because Circuit Stella's going to kick. So he might put him outside. I think he'll win. He meets most of this field looking at this 4 to 7 pounds worse off than last time. I thought last run, Fantastic Treasure went really, really well, Clint, but unfortunately he's got gate 12.
Yeah.
So where he's going to be back and wide, whereas Beauty Eternal's just going to be box seating there with Circuit Stella. So once again, it could be hard for Fantastic Treasure.
Shane, you used to live in Macau. To educate our audience about the Macau horses, Macau racing versus Hong Kong.
I can't. I didn't used to go, mate.
You never went to Hong Kong. The reason I raised that is because I arrived in Macau and said to Shane, mate, I'm going to the races tonight. What do you think I should do? And he goes, I don't know. I don't go to the races here. I just live here.
I used to race a couple there.
Did you?
Yeah. There was a stage when Macau was going quite strong with it. It was probably more like 20 years ago rather than.
So now it's a significant tier below.
It's a pretty big drop off. I mean, it'd be the equivalent of metro racing to provincial in, say, Victoria or Australia generally. Yeah.
It was going good, Richo, but what actually happened was the Hong Kong Jockey Club stopped betting on it in Hong Kong.
Right.
And it just brought it back down when that happened. And also when COVID hit, a lot of the Hong Kong people have horses racing there, but when COVID hit, they kind of stopped that. So hopefully now they can start reinvesting Hong Kong people and go back and watch it because it's opened up again.
We go to race number 8 here, which is the Macau Handicap. It's a Class 3 over 1,200 metres.
This is a good race. And what's interesting about this race is that Zach Purton trialled both Flying Ace and Happy Golf. Now, it would appear, who are both nice horses going forward, that he may have chosen Happy Golf. I'm not sure, that's not confirmed. I don't know if there was a pre-booking, etc. So you've got Flying Ace and Happy Golf that are interesting. Excellent Fighter has won 3 from 5 and has been a friend to us, that's for sure. He's been another progressive horse. And the Blinker's gone a horse by the name of Winner Method, which is interesting. Look, Excellent Fighters in the game. What I didn't like was the barrier and where he might end up. He's got form here around Mark the Moment. There's others in this race that have run well, and on my ratings, it did go quite well. So he's right in the game, but just from a map point of view, in a race with some progressive horses here, Shane, I think Happy Golf, it's a big advantage for him. This was his day, and why I did bring up about Zach Purton was because Hugh rode this last time. Now, I'm not sure what's transpired since, but...
Clint, I can tell you, Hugh's won twice on it, but he can't do the weight. He's only got 121 pounds, so Huey could never ride him. Right. So if Huey could have had Huey's weight, he would have been on him, and that's why Zach's on him. It's all to do with the weight and only the weight.
Okay. 121.
Yeah, and Flying Ace has got 135.
Yeah, I understand the weight. They might have thought as well that he was going to get a lighter weight than what he did. But
so you're thinking Happy Golf?
I think Happy Golf's going to get the right run. He's a great chance. Flying Ace is a very good horse. I think if he had race fitness on his side, and he also trialled well, I think if he probably had a run, that Zach might have gone that way actually with Flying Ace, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
what do you think, Shane?
I've got Happy Golf on top from gate 2. He's just going to get the perfect run with Zach on. His trial was good. His 2 wins have been good. He's going a little bit higher, I feel. Flying Ace has only had the 1 run this season, and then he pulled up lame, of course. What's he had? 2 trials, is it, Clint, I think, since being lame? Yeah, I think he's had 2 trials.
Yeah, his most recent was on the all-weather. He trialled really well. A bit keen.
He trialled well.
Yeah.
And he had one up the straight, and it was very easy. He ran midfield. He ran a 58 something that day, and he was hard held, of course. He wasn't tested, and then he went on the dirt, as you said, in 1,050. He's definitely got the ability. His only run this season, he was ridden wrong, right? He led on him early and bustled him, and that's not him. Huey will suit this horse. He's definitely got the ability, and some of his runs last season were incredible when he got back and ran on. Wouldn't be a surprise. Of course, excellent fighter, but he's got an awkward gait, but he's racing well. I've definitely got Happy Golf on top, Clint.
And we get to the lucky last, Class 3, where we extend out to a mile here. Assess this field for us.
This is a deep race as well, a lot of chances. Not an easy one to price, this race, because a number of horses actually come out of that race that was won by Powerful Wings. Remember that ride that Shane highlighted from Alexi Bedell when he took off mid-race? I went and watched it again recently, and I couldn't believe how slow they were going mid-race, and it was a great ride and made you wonder what some of them were doing. But I liked Universal Horizon in that race. I'm going to stick with him here. See, what happened was the race unfolded around him, and he got a bit cluttered up, and he's a horse that needs to keep building his momentum. I'd have him a marginal favourite over Happy Together. It was a bit of a disaster watch for Happy Together backers. As we know, Zach was sort of back in behind. Huey pushed out, and then it was an awkward run. But I think most analysts there would say, Shane, that Happy Together was a bit unlucky, and it did look that way. But the other thing to weigh up is there's not much between a lot of them either, Richo. So it's a very competitive final race.
Yeah, very close. The other one, if you think that Universal can win, Clint, Circuit Times went as well as him in that race. You know, like there's a lot of them. Like Circuit Times' run was good and his form's not too bad. What have I got on top? I think probably Happy Together. There should be a bit of pace with Run Buddy. The only problem is Derek's on him and he can pull up sometimes. He'll go to the front, of course, and he'll be thinking, will he run a mile? And what Derek does is at about the half mile to 1,000, he'll back the pace off and it brings the back markers into the race. So you've got to watch that when he leads. I think one that should be good odds is Unpresuming. He missed the start and had no hope last start. If he's good odds, he can definitely go better. He's got to go to the mile the first time. And over 1,400, he's been wanting the last bit, but they've gone for him at the 350, 400, and his run's always been from the 400 to the 200. And then he's found wanting, but he's only got 117 pounds, and from gate 4, he's going to get the perfect run. He's definitely not the worst. But, Clint, I've got to agree, there's lots of chances in that race looking at this. I'd probably have Happy Together on top. Oh, what about the Peach? What's he done wrong, Clint? He's flying.
He's right in there. I mean, there's probably about 2 lengths between, the vast majority of the field. So if you're playing a quaddie, you're playing the exotics, whatever it may be, make sure you put lots of numbers in that race for sure.
Well, I'm going to be playing all those because they've gone to all the trouble of putting it on. The least we can do is support it by having a bet. What do you like? Have you got something that stands out?
Happy Golf I really like, but I don't think you'd need to take, that's race 8, of course, number 9. So I think for me, he's one of the better bets. And I actually think the Cornella chances are mainly Winner Method who has the blinkers on. There'll be some value there and Flying Ace. Those are 2. And outside of that, the other race that I'm pretty keen was Euro Rocks. I like him now, 3rd up 1,400. I think the race sets up really well for him. So those would be 2 of the main plays.
Okay, Shane, what are you thinking? Have you got one out wide for us to consider? You are going for back-to-back best bets, saluting.
That's very unusual.
I find it not unusual, my friend.
I don't know. What will win?
What will win?
Multi-super. There you go,
Okay.
race 3. He's
Race
going to be
3?
very hard to multi-super.
Number 4.
Number 4, Huey Bowman on for Ricky Yu, who's had a really good season.
Hopefully strong race.
Okay.
He trialled well the other day. His trial was very good.
Yep.
Over 1,200 metres, and he's never far away. He's placed 3 out of 4 runs, and he's had a bit of a break of 34 days, but his trial was very good the other day. And it's not a strong class 4, that. So he'll be forward. And with Huey on, he's going to be very hard to beat in that race.
Interesting what you said about Hughes' weight, Shane. Well, he can't get down to 121. I mean, 121 is quite a big weight. So what's he? Yeah. What do you think his minimum is? What, 123?
Well, he's riding at
127, I think he's loaded. Sorry, Shane?
It'd be more than 123.
He's riding at 126 is the lightest he's riding during the day, just looking through on
That's
Saturday.
the only reason he's not on Happy Golf, though, Clint, because he couldn't do the weight. And that's why Zach trialled it, because of the ratings. You can work out what weight a horse is going to get in advance in Hong Kong with the rating system. It's so easy. And they would have known that there was no way Huey could have rode him. So they just switched. Huey went on to Zach's ride and Zach went on to Huey's ride.
And hopefully Brenton Avdulla will get part of that mix-up as well. We're barracking for him now. He's part of our family on the Triple Trio. Shane,
He's going to need to if the wife keeps hanging around Nicole and they go shopping.
You have been strong in those warnings, every jockey that's arrived on the show. Whatever you do, don't let your wife hang out with Nicole Burton. Poor old Nick's going to get a complex.
Yeah, she's not going to be happy with Shane when she comes back.
No, she still will be happy.
She's gorgeous.
She's a ripper and doing a great job for us on Triple Trio.
She is, really good job.
She'll be back next week. Hey, RS, as always, Golden Boy, an absolute pleasure. Well done today.
Nice chatting to you, mate. Good to see you got that jacket on and keep up the good work, Richo, and good luck going to England economy, mate.
The one and only Shane Dye. Hutch, good show, mate. Look forward to next week already.
Best of luck on the weekend.
Yeah, good punting, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the Triple Trio.